I'm so excited to be here with Allie Bjerk and talk about how to build a big business from a tiny offer. Welcome on the show, Allie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I had seen your ads before, a request came through, and I'm like, yeah. I said to my assistant, yes, I know her name. I've seen her ads. I want to know more. So I'm glad you're on the show to tell my audience about tiny offers because we haven't covered this topic yet. But before we dive into that, I would love to know your story. How come you're doing what you're doing? How far do we need to go back?
Oh gosh, probably I'd say at least 10 years. I mean, it's been a journey. I'll try to keep this story short, but it could be a very long one if I were to get into all these details.
Okay. Okay. So let's go back 10 years. What were you doing?
Okay, so I went to college for graphic design and marketing. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that, but I loved design and I loved people and figuring out why people did the things that they did. And fast forward a few years, graduated from college, got a very typical corporate marketing job doing design and actually SEO, which is a whole different story, but really delved into the world of learning and trying to educate myself as much as possible on SEO, which meant I was buying a lot of courses and just trying to be the very best I could be at my job. So I was kind of introduced to this whole online business world and education world early on, but didn't think it was possible for me to ever be in the position to teach people, which in hindsight was all mindset. So after my son was born, and I always have to subtract his age or figure out how old he is and then subtract a year because that's when everything really started. He was born and my priorities shifted rapidly in that I started calculating how much it was costing me to send him to daycare versus how much I was being paid and realizing that there wasn't a lot left over. I was miserable dropping him off at daycare and my priorities really shifted into wanting to be more present in my life and have more time and more freedom and all of those things that when you're wired as an entrepreneur and you're just unemployable, that became very, very apparent that I was miserable working for anyone else. So I came up with my escape plan and I realized, I only need two clients doing social media management monthly. Like I just need to make like $2,500 a month and I could leave. Like it seemed so challenging at the time, but I went for it and I started putting the word out there that this is something people could sign up for. And I actually filled my client roster within like 1 month. And I was amazed at how easy it was to jump in.
Mhm.
So little by little, I kept wanting to be the best I could be at whatever my specialty was at the time. So I wanted to be the best social media manager I could be, which meant that to get people more views, I had to learn a little bit about ads. So I jumped into Facebook ads. With ads, I realized sometimes the ads wouldn't work if they didn't have a good sales funnel, if they didn't have a process behind it. So then I jumped into sales funnels. And it's like I just kept expanding my knowledge base little by little over, 8 years now, but I always was doing it for other people and I had that fear of missing out. Like, well, I know how to do funnels, I know how to create products, I'm doing it behind the scenes, but it took a moment of being tired of living client to client, like always waiting for that next referral to come in, and I wasn't getting clients on a consistent basis, and I wanted more predictability. And I finally had this back against the wall moment where I had to launch my own product or I was going to have to like close my business basically. um, so I launched this tiny offer because I hadn't been focusing on growing my email list because it wasn't a priority. um, I hadn't built a huge social media following, so I created this tiny offer because I knew that was a way where I could run ads, get visibility excuse me, get visibility really, really quickly, and then be able to start growing my business in a way that I had wanted to, but I had previously held back from doing just because of my own beliefs about making money with my brain instead of with my time and with my services.
Mm. So, how did you come up with a tiny offer? Was it something like you saw someone else do? Was it something from your clients? Like, why a small offer versus a bigger offer?
Yeah, because I knew I had set up so many different sales funnels for people and I knew the runway that took. I knew that it took belief building and weeks of, setting up different trust building experiences to sell that higher ticket offer, and I didn't have the time. I didn't have the audience to really sell something that was higher ticket and sell it quickly so that I could basically what had happened to put my back against the wall is that a client did a chargeback. And I don't know if anyone's ever experienced that, but like the work had been done for months. And all of a sudden I got a notification from Stripe that was saying, she was going to withdraw her payment and my account was about to go negative. So I had to do something quickly or things were going to get really bad because I was living client to client. I didn't have a big savings account for my business at that time. It would have meant I had to take money from our personal accounts to front it. And I wasn't willing to do that. So the idea was, if I can get visibility on something that people can make that quick decision of impulse, where with $27 or $37 with these tiny offers, they don't have to go check with their spouse if they can buy it. They don't have to check their bank account. It's just that immediate trigger of like, oh, this looks awesome. This is something I could really use in my business. I'm going to go for it and purchase it. So what I initially launched was a visibility calendar. I was calling myself a visibility strategist at that time because everything, ads, funnels, all the things are ultimately about visibility. And I realized that of everyone that I had worked with, people who, even when they said like, oh, I just need a funnel, oh, I just need ads, what it always came down to was, at some level, they were holding back on their visibility because they're like, oh, I just don't know what to say. If someone would just tell me what to say every single day, I would do live streams. I would actually show up. Even if there's all this other stuff happening behind the scenes, I knew if I could help them know what to say every single day with social media prompts and this calendar that I ultimately ended up launching, it would be a mass market product that everybody could use. So that's what I ended up launching. And I think I did 10,000 in sales in the first 2 weeks. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is working. This is amazing. I remember I was at my dad's birthday party and my phone kept lighting up with sales notifications. And it was like, $300 in one day. And I was like, mind blown. Wow, this is actually working. Strangers are giving me money and they're buying this product and it's going to really help them. So it totally shifted my beliefs in, what kind of business model I could have. But over the course of, gosh, I think like the next 8 or 9 months, it sold like $300,000 in that time frame. So it completely, I mean, that was like monopoly money to me at that point. Of course, I was paying for Facebook ads, but the profit that came on the back end of those Facebook ads made it completely worth it, where it became an investment instead of the expense that I had previously thought Facebook ads were.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people look at Facebook ad as some bad cost in their business, but it's actually, like you say, it's a slot machine, like, and you're constantly winning.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I really love about tiny offers is, even when I had set up ads for webinars or things like that for clients previously, or even when I run my own webinar ads now, there's a big waiting period where you've got to trust that it's going to pay off at the end. And if you're just launching for the very first time, you can spend a lot of money in the 7 to 10 day runway before a webinar, that if you don't know your webinar is going to convert, that can be a little painful at
Stressful.
the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
how,
it's oh, sorry.
so how long did it take you to create that first offer? Because when I see ads for these offers, not just from you, it seems to be a whole trend.
Yeah.
Um, they seem to be like, wow, that's quite a lot of work that goes into it. Like, I hope, at least, because it should be like massive value for a low price. That's a perception I have.
Yeah, absolutely. So with what I had launched, I think it took me a couple months to get all of the content put together. I had a lot of it put together on the back end, for what I had done for clients and pieces that I had put together for them. But after I had the idea and I knew I had to put it together very quickly, I was able to launch what I call like a minimal viable product, which was enough to sell, enough to get them a result, but it didn't take months and months and months to create. So I took what I had as my current framework and the work that I was doing with service-based clients and just repackaged it, and I was able to launch it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I have
So
an alarm going off on my phone. Can I shut it off? I have
yeah,
these breathing alarms because, like, right now, I
yeah,
think we all collectively need to breathe more. So I
yeah,
didn't realize one was set for right now.
yeah.
And then I put my phone far away so that it wasn't going to be, I'm just going to turn it all the way off. It's important to breathe these days.
Yes.
Okay. So collective deep breath.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we were at how long it took to, yeah. So how long did it actually take you to create the offer?
I would say I had the idea and I had the ads running within 2 weeks because I had a lot of the materials already created.
Yeah. But I guess most people have, at least those who've been in business for a little bit, they have content they can create relatively quickly in 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a matter of just, I was actually on an airplane when I created the entire 365 days of ideas because I had 2 or 3 hours to just sit down and crank it out. And and that's all it took. Like once the actual calendar was created, then I was able to think through what else would people need. So they have these social media prompts. If they're looking at the sales page and they're thinking, yeah, but that still wouldn't work for me because of XYZ, it's like, what other trainings can I create for them so that they can get results and they can actually show up with this calendar? So that's where some of those bonus items were created.
Mm. So you started to launch Tiny Offer and you said, yeah, you started to make $300 a day, but how much were you actually spending on ads to get those $300? Is it like a zero sum game and then you have to make money on the back end of it? Or are you making a profit or even a loss?
Yeah, in those early days with this calendar, when it was one of the very few 365-day calendars out there, I was making 4 or 5x back what I was spending on Facebook ads. So even if I was spending, $30 a day and I was making $150 back, that was a pretty good return. Now it's the same calendar has been running for 18 months now, and I'm still making about 1.5 return. But a lot of the return comes in. I basically break even with the initial $27 offer. I think I spend about $24 per acquisition. So like $3 of profit that, after I do offer a money back guarantee, and some people will just take refunds on digital products because that's what people do. But
Yeah.
yeah, so um basically if I only had the initial offer, it would be a break even zero sum, just a lead generation funnel. But with the order bump that I have added to the cart where there's just a little single checkbox where they can add on another training. And then on the second page, on the confirmation page, there's another training offered for $77. So the profit comes in from that order bump and the one time offer that comes after the initial sale of that first product.
Mm. So you would recommend to anyone thinking of this isn't about just one offer.
Yes, I call it a product suite because it thinks through, if you're a little bit clairvoyant of what your audience needs, what problems can you solve? It's like that pain solving and then agitating cycle. So if you solve a pain point with that first piece, what are they going to need next? What's that next pain point? So for me, it was a live stream calendar. The order bump that I had was how to repurpose your live stream. So how do you get even more traction from the thing that you're already doing? And then the upsell is how to sell from your live streams, how to create sales funnels, and have an application for someone who wants to learn more about working with you after the live stream. So you can see it's like a whole ascension thing from that main offer because I had done enough work. I knew my audience well enough to know, okay, what do they think they need? They think they need a calendar to show up every day. What they really need, that I know as the expert, is they need some way to actually get leads from their visibility instead of just, like throwing rocks or throwing spaghetti at the wall with visibility.
Mm. So you identify the problem that they think they have.
Yes, that's the key.
That's the key. That's
Yep.
the key for the first step. And then anything that improves that first offer. And then the upsell on the thank you page is basically what they ultimately need. But they realize it once they're at the thank you page that they need this as well.
Yes, exactly. Because I call it the competency gap because when you're an expert, I mean, the example I usually give is around fitness because as a fitness professional, people need sleep, they need to eat correctly, they need to exercise. There's like so much more behind being healthy and wellness, but people are like, at least Americans, I don't know if it's the same where you are, but like they want the quick fix. They want the 21-day quick fix, or they want to look great at their high school reunion in 2 weeks or something. So understanding that, how can you get their attention with the thing that they're actually seeking? And oftentimes it is the time saver, the easy button, like the calendar or any other offers that I've had a hand in helping create. They're always the ones that are successful, are always the thing that um, simplifies life, or getting a result for your buyer. Because the other advantage of doing it that way that I found is then you're attracting a different type of buyer too. It's not just someone who is wanting to collect tiny offers or small products. When you do save them time, you attract someone who has that mindset of, okay, I'm saving time. Where else can I save time by working with this provider? Maybe I can save time by joining their mastermind. Maybe there's like a high ticket course or a high ticket coaching program I can join, because you already know they're a person who has the mindset of, I'm going to be efficient and I'm going to save time, and hopefully they'll continue ascending your value ladder because they have that mindset.
Mm. So what happened? You started, and within a couple of weeks, you were like, "Hey, this is working. This is awesome." What
Yeah.
happened next?
Yeah. So what happened next is I just continued selling that tiny offer, and enough people had started asking me like, "Hey, what's your process? How do you differentiate what you're doing, or how are you attracting so many different buyers? How are you attracting buyers who want to ascend?" It was the way I did it was a little different than other people who are launching these low ticket offers. So I was asked about it enough that I ended up creating a coaching program to help other people create these tiny offers. It's kind of how it happens in business. Like, when you're really successful with something, it becomes the next thing people ask you to teach, at least when you're in the info product space. So I ended up launching a coaching program about creating tiny offers. And that's where I've been specializing for the last year.
Mm. But it is fairly new. You say the first tiny offer you launched, it's been running 18 months. That's not
Yeah.
such a long time, but
No, it
your
was,
your
it,
business has exploded in a short amount of time.
yes. Yeah. And, a lot of that is because of the type of visibility that I've had. I mean, you said you've seen my ads. We've never met before, yet here we are because my ads were in your newsfeed all the time, but I wasn't actually in front of you. I wasn't putting any effort, any time. Once the product was created and the ads were running, then I can kind of step away and focus on other things, or, focus on service and connection with actual people instead of like creating social media content all the time.
That brings me to the point. You are not having to do, let's say, organic social media so much, or not at all.
Yeah, not really at all. I mean, I've started to now because I have other goals, and I want more visibility for the next level of speaking and book writing and stuff that this offer has opened up for me. But when those first initial 12 or 18 months, I was off playing with my kids, and my phone is just pinging with sales, and people are like, "Oh, I see your ads all the time." I'm like, "That's awesome because I've not been at my computer all the time." So it really helped me create the level of visibility I wanted without, like, "Oh, I need to write another blog post. Oh, I need a call to action. Oh, I need a freebie." Like that spiral that so many of us go on when it comes to visibility. I knew I had a system that worked, and I just kept, it's like you can either put in time or money, and I just kept putting money into this machine instead of my time in creating all this different content.
Mm. And now this has led to you on a different path. You mentioned speaking and writing books. Like what's do you have a goal or a vision for where
Oh
you're
yeah,
going?
absolutely. I mean, a loose
Where-
one.
yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, so I would love to, at the core of everything that I've done or that I've taught or that I've helped other people create in their businesses is like this level of empowerment and confidence and just like acceptance of who we are, and really owning our own selves inside of our marketing. And it's like, as soon as people can hit that level of, I'm just going to show up, I'm going to be me, I know I'm getting leads. As soon as people overcome some of those ideas of like, oh, I have to be someone else's brand, or I can't be authentic to myself, their businesses explode every single time because they're attracting higher quality leads, and they're more connected with their leads. So a lot of what I intend to do, or what I will love to do, is helping people overcome some of those mindset issues that I struggled with, where I I sat behind the scenes for 8 years because I was afraid to make the jump. I was afraid to lead. I was, hiding behind everyone else's businesses. But I learned a lot in the process behind, just like, this sounds cheesy, but like radical self love. And like, once you're so happy and unshakable with who you are, that you just show up and your business can't help but respond accordingly.
Mm. Very true. Very true. Yeah. So, what if someone is listening saying, "Well, I want to now create my tiny offer, and can she teach us?" So, I know we're not going to replace a whole coaching program here in a few minutes, but can you give us like simple steps for someone listening who says, "I want to create this product suite"? What do they need to think about?
Yeah, absolutely. So identifying, the first question I always ask people is, what is your ultimate goal? So if you could have any dream business that you wanted with your dream clients, what would that look like? Is it a coaching program? Is it, a course? And then working their way backwards from who those people are. So clarity is always the biggest thing that I've seen people struggle with. So really finding that clarity on what you want and actually like owning what you want, and knowing that you can create any kind of business you want as long as you have that clarity and you know, run full bore towards that. So figure out what it is that you want, and then reverse engineer for who is that person, what are their pain points, what does that journey look like from them or for them. If they're starting at point A, what do they need to get to point Z being like your ultimate result that you can provide. So just brain dumping, you know, they need to be visible, they need to be confident, they need to have a sales funnel, they need all the things that your people would have, and then identifying that one factor of what is the thing where they think they need to start, or what is the thing that they're waking up in the middle of the night, or you know, the first thing on their mind of like, oh dang it, I just need to be more visible, or oh, I just wish I could eat right, or I just wish that I could, I don't know, talk to my husband more or something. You know, what is the thing that they're struggling with in whatever your niche is, and then building a product around that that feels like it's the easy button for them.
Mm. You mentioned like, time saving being probably one of the best things to get high quality clients. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do you design like the three steps? You say I said it before, like something that is they know they need, and then something that improves the product. Is that kind of the correct way to see
Yeah,
it?
yep, exactly. So if the order bump, the, you know, that single check box that they add on from the order form, if that's something that will help them get results faster from the main product, that's usually how I define that. So
Mm.
if you're in the nutrition space and you're launching like a 21-day challenge for eating right, maybe the add-on is like a workout plan that will help them get results faster. So two things that are complementary to each other instead of like giving them more of the same. Like if I had sold a calendar and then my order bump was like another calendar, people probably wouldn't have been very excited about it. But because it was taking the, you know, making the best case scenario of what they already purchased and helping them just, you know, skyrocket even faster with the results that they're driving themselves towards, that's what helps it sell.
Mm. And on the thank you page, the upsell offer is something that they realize afterwards. You use this word of like sales agitate, like they become aware of
Yeah.
a new problem.
Yep, exactly. So like the solving and agitating cycle. So you've solved one problem, and then a lot of this comes through copywriting. I think as a, you know, when you're marketing your own business, copywriting is by far the best skill that you can master, just to really be able to communicate what you can do for the client and help them understand. So using direct response sales copy on the sales pages, both the main offer and the upsell, to connect with them. And I mean, so many of us buy for emotional reasons. I mean, I think everyone buys for emotional reasons, that if you can connect with them emotionally through the story and the journey that you're bringing them through on these sales pages, that's what will help that upsell, help them see what the upsell can do for them after they've purchased that initial tiny offer.
Mm. So do people need any special technology for this? Like it seems like not every like it wouldn't be enough to just have PayPal and Stripe. Like you have to have a system that actually can do this.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a few different options for people. There's, I mean, ClickFunnels is one of the main funnel softwares that I've seen advertised and that I've used for tiny offers, but I've also used WordPress and Thrivecart, and you can replicate the same system with Samcart, or there are different WordPress plugins like Cart Flows that it helps as long as you have a sales page builder, a checkout cart that has the ability to add order bumps and upsells, and then a learning management system and an email service provider. Those are like the four main things that you need. So someone can see the product, connect with the product on a sales page, they can check out on a cart, and then they can get their product delivered via email, and then the, you know, like a membership area or a course platform to deliver the thing that you're selling. So if
Mm.
you can take them through those four steps, you can do it with a lot of different technologies.
Yeah. And how quickly would someone then upgrade to the actual program that you originally wanted to sell? What would be the time frame that you recommend?
For the Tiny Offer Lab program,
No, so
or
if people create a tiny offer, but what they ultimately want to sell is group coaching or an online course, what's the time frame that you suggest that they nurture?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it depends on what they have created already. For people who already have an evergreen webinar that they've put together, you can always do a second upsell and put that evergreen webinar right on a second confirmation page, because if someone's pain point is that hot that they've gone through your main offer, their order bump, the misconception that a lot of people have with sales funnels is that it's like this long drawn out process and everyone has to go through the same thing and all the emails. And but if you know people are coming in and they're ready to solve their pain point and they're efficient and they want the solution right now, they may just like skyrocket through your whole value ladder because they're ready and they've seen you and they've connected with you, and now they're just like, please help me. I resonate with your messaging and I want to go all the way with what services you have available. So
Mm.
that's one option. Another option is to bring them in with a tiny offer and then send them usually like 2 weeks of emails. So kind of a welcoming sequence for a week and then dropping into like a storytelling and building sequence into an offer that you already have. Or if you're like a one-on-one person, inviting them to book a free call or a connection call. So making sure that sorry, making sure that they trust you, that any objections that they have been overcome, that they've seen the results that you've gotten from other people. So bringing them through that sequence of emails with FAQs and testimonials and stories is really the first step before ascending or even offering something else.
Mm. What about the flow of tiny offers we have right now? Does that not like, are you not worried that people get tired of them, or do we have to up our game? Like maybe what was okay as a tiny offer 18 months ago, is that now good enough? Like what are your thoughts on it?
That's a great question too. Because it is such a low ticket such a low ticket offer, people will buy all the tiny offers the way they used to download all the freebies. It's like it's a new way to up level our game, and you can get a taste of their teaching style, get a taste of, a little bit more intimate of a product than just a PDF that we used to get from freebies.
Mhm.
So there are many of them, largely thanks to my students who are all absolutely amazing. But um, there's a huge market for it too. If you look at people, if we're in the digital marketing space, if you look at Facebook's audience size, when you set an interest towards digital marketing, it's like over, I think, 2 or 3 million people. So I've sold 15,000 of my tiny offer. That's like 0.005. That's like 0.5% of the entire audience available. So it's also a mindset thing of like abundance and believing that there's enough room for all of us. And with the tiny offer price, it's not like people are choosing, okay, I have my $10,000 this year, I have to choose one coaching program. It has to be the perfect coaching program. People can buy all of them. And I just think this is really the beginning of people shifting into leading with a tiny digital product instead of a freebie, because it just attracts a little different audience who's invested and ready to actually do the work.
Mm. I love that. I love that. I love that you ended with a mindset angle that always.
Yeah.
I can see that in your future, in your vision, speaking and writing books on this. But thank you for sharing your journey with us, Ali. It's really inspirational, and I am sure our listeners will all go off and want to create their tiny offers now.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.